네, 이어서 C세션 두 번째 순서 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 인재 양성과 관련하여 한국이 벤치마킹 해온 대표적인 선진국들이 있습니다. 바로 독일과 싱가포르인데요. 독일은 직업교육훈련 시스템, 싱가포르는 직업훈련 계좌제 등을 도입하여 이 인재 양성에 힘을 쏟고 있습니다. 이번 세션에서는 두 국가 이야기, 독일과 싱가포르의 디지털 시대 인재 양성 방안을 주제로 두 국가가 처한 상황을 알아보고 인재 양성 전략에 대해 논하고자 합니다. 이번 세션은 강순희 경기대학교 직업학과 교수님이 좌장을 맡아주시겠고요. 미하엘 하이스터 독일 직업교육연방연구소 직업훈련기획본부장님, 곡순주 싱가포르 스킬스퓨처 최고연구담당자님 두 분이 발표와 토론에 참여해 주시겠습니다. 그럼 강순희 교수님과 연사 여러분을 단상 위로 모시겠습니다. 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 그럼 지금부터는 좌장이신 강순희 교수님께서 진행을 해주시겠습니다. 교수님 부탁드립니다.
감사합니다. 방금 소개받은 경기대학교 강순희입니다. 반갑습니다. 오늘 이 C2 세션 제목이 좀 재미있죠? 앞에만 갖고 보면 꼭 동화 같습니다. It's like the title is like 두 나라 이야기. 예. 하지만 내용에 들어가서는 이제 부제가 붙어 있습니다만은 이 디지털 대전환 시대에 우리는 VET이라고 그러죠. 보케이셔널 에듀케이션 트레이닝이라고 그러는데 싱가포르에서는 SET이라고도 그러고 있고 뭐 HRD라고도 그러고 있고 독일도 그러고 있습니다만은 이 직업 교육 훈련의 선진국인 두 나라에서는 어떻게 대응하고 있는지 이런 사례를 두 나라의 최고 전문가분들, 최고 연구기관의 전문가분들로부터 듣고 또 토론하는 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 자세한 프로필은 소개가 이 모니터로 될 것 같고요. 여러분들께 부탁드리고 싶은 거는 질문을 많이 해주십사 하는 겁니다. 이제 리얼타임 Q&A 시스템으로 질문을 하게 되어 있는 것으로 알고 있는데 발표 중에 궁금하신 내용이 있으면 미리 다 한국말로 편하게 적으셔도 되고 영어로 뭐 편하게 하셔도 되고 해주시면 고맙겠습니다. 그러면 바로 진행 들어가도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 순서는 독일, 그다음 싱가포르 그리고 Q&A와 디스커션 타임을 갖겠습니다. Now we have speakers. Most of you have 25 minutes. Speak. And after that, we will have around 30 minutes discussion and Q&A time. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. Right. Yeah, right away.
Yeah. This is the... Okay. Thank you. Good morning to all of you. I was very pleased to receive the invitation to this meeting, and I was very pleased to receive the invitation to this big and great conference. And thank you very much for all the organizers of this conference. First of all, I want to introduce a little bit my institution in Germany. It's the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training. It was founded in 1970 under the legal supervision of the Federal Ministry of Education and Research. We have 4 specialist departments and 1 central department and around 850 employees. We are located in Bonn. This was the former capital of Western Germany. Now the capital of the unified Germany is Berlin. We promote innovations in national and international vocational education and training, and we work very closely with the CREVET in Korea. So I'm very happy to be the first time here in Korea and to say some words also to the colleagues from the CREVET. And we in the BIP, in the BIBB, we develop new practice-oriented solutions for initial and continuing vocational education and training. First of all, I think I should make a little remark about our system, our dual system in Germany, for all those of you who do not know the German system so completely. The dual system in Germany has two venues of learning. One is in the company and the second one is at a part-time vocational school. And we have also two responsibilities. For the companies, responsible is the federal government, and for the part-time vocational schools, it's the Länder in this federal system. Usually a profession, if you learn it in Germany, it needs 2 to 3 years. And in this time, you are 40% in the vocational school, 30% of this time, and 60% of this time you learn in the company. So these are the two venues, and this is the system where we often say it's a dual system. It's a system which we have in Europe, in Germany, in Switzerland and Austria in this form. No matter what profession you learn as a learner, you have 4 areas you must always learn in all the professions, and this we call them the standard vocational training positions. And they are important for the learning in the company and in the part-time school. On both venues it's important. And this standard vocational training positions are 4. The first one is the organization of the training company, vocational training and labor and collective bargaining law. The second one is, I think it's very important, the safety and health at work. The third one is environmental protection and sustainability. This is modernized. It was in 2021. Before it was only an environmental protection, and now it's added this point of sustainability. And the last one, and I think this is very important in the topic which we spoke today, is digitized world of work. This is new in 2021. It was because of the digitalization, and I think it's very important also today because of the last 1-2 years with AI and with the beginning of GDP. Let me come to this standard position, digitized world of work. For me, it's very important that this is not primarily knowledge working. It's a bit knowledge working, but it's not the main issue. Much more working is independently on content and in projects, and that this is a relation, is a key point in all professions, and you have to find projects in all professions to come with these points of digitized world of work. I have 3 points. It may be a profession, how I handle data safety. How do I handle data safety? A second one can be, how do I recognize fake news? Or, and I think it's the most important on this conference, how does AI work? And for me, it's very, very important. It's not knowledge working, but you have to learn it with the students, with the trainees in projects, in little projects, and not as a knowledge working. I have a research project with some colleagues with group discussions with vocational school teachers. Vocational school teachers in these part-time schools, which I told you. And we asked them a lot of questions, and we asked them two main questions. The first one is, we asked them about the digital skills of their learners. And the second one is, we asked them about the hardware equipment. And I want to begin with the hardware equipment, and I think the answers of the teachers are very surprising. What I say about the hardware equipment, it's very different. Partly there are no laptops available. No uniform catch-all arrangements in place, access not self-evident, and often we have to find individual solutions by teachers. So it's not a very, very, very the best of the world, but it's beginning with digitalization in Germany, and we have problems in the point of hardware equipment. This is surprising, but more surprising for me is the point with the digital skills of the learners. They are very different. So there are learners who are very, very good in the digital skills, and there are someone who are beginners. We have unexpected deficits. And one of the most deficits in Germany is that a lot of them, they know mobile phones, but they don't know computers. So email and PDF creation must be learned. We speak always about digital natives, but email and PDF creation must be learned. And handling keyboard and mouse is partly difficult. I think I want to bring you this two things about the hardware equipment and the digital skills to show you it's not everything good. It's on the way, and we spoke about AI, and we have problems with digitalization. I think this is a very important point. Let me come now a bit more to the topic of AI. I am a member of the AI platform Lernende Systeme. This AI platform is the platform for AI in Germany. And our goal is shaping artificial intelligence for the needs of society and utilize its economic potential. Wherefore, this platform Lernende Systeme combines scientific, economic, and social expertise. This is very, very important. It's not only scientific, it's also economic, and I think it's very important for the ethic points, it's social expertise. It provides the infrastructure for scientific exchange and aims to secure Germany's leading role in the field of AI. And on the next slides, I will show you some things we discuss in this platform. In the platform, we have asked ourselves the questions: what competencies are needed for digitization and AI? And we asked it for trainees and for employees. And we think the following competencies are becoming increasingly relevant, and I think more in the last years with AI, but also with digitization. The first one is we need a basic IT knowledge that goes beyond pure user knowledge and a basic understanding of AI technologies. And this is very, very important, not only for specialists, but for everyone who works. For all these people, we need this knowledge. We need a new understanding of the interaction between humans and technology, especially with regard of ethical, social aspects. We need process-oriented, holistic thinking and acting. And for me, the most important point, and I spoke about it 15 minutes before with the colleague from Singapore also, we need lifelong learning and learning to learn. This is, I think, very important. I think the former Prime Minister of Finland told the same in his keynote yesterday. And he has one point more, which for me also, I learned from this conference, it's also curiosity, which we need as a basic competence. In the platform, we wrote a map of important AI places in Germany. And we have 1,100 on this map. You can see it in the internet if you go on our internet. And we have 1,100. And if you look to the sectors, it's a lot of this places is cross-sector. But when the first one, which is only not cross-sector, but one sector, it's health and pharmaceuticals. The second one is manufacturing industry, mobility and logistics, and so on. And if you look to the end of this list, you find with less than 100 trade, agriculture, administration and security, finance, insurance and real estate, and at the end, education. And I think we have to change this, and I will come to this list at the end with the last slides. But I think it's not so nice that education is at the end of these places. I have started this presentation with the initial VET. And we go more and more to the continuing further training. And I think AI is a central topic of for further training. It's learning. And in our group, we have 6 important points which we have to say to this central topic of further training. The first one, the topic of artificial intelligence is currently being discussed primarily at a strategic company level and in an exploration context. The second one, the introduction of AI is dominated by a technical, functional view. Human-centered aspects of the corresponding need for qualification appear at second glance. This is, I think, not so nice. We need to change that. The third one is there is considerable need for further training of skilled workers and managers, which will become more constant in the course of the technological progress of AI. The fourth one is, for me, the most important. If we look to this field, training offers refer primarily to qualified decision makers or technicians in the age 30 to 39. Training measures for low-skilled workers, including temporary workers, are addressed to a smaller extent. Maybe to a very small extent. And again, we need to change this. The fifth one is knowledge is built up primarily through in-house qualification measures, but also through the recruitment of experts on the labor market. And the last one is qualification measures are preferably carried out as on-the-job training or in-house seminars. The integration of learning and action is intended to strengthen the operational application reference. We got in the, I think, last 2 years, we started with AIs, and in the last 2 years, we came more and more to ChatGPT and other systems like ChatGPT, and we tried to find an image for this, and we make this picture. You can also find it on our website, and we speak about ChatGPT in a nutshell. And on this picture, we have on the left side the AI-based model is able to, and you can see what we all can do with AI today. I think you know it. We can create all kinds of text, and we learned a lot also in this conference. I learned a lot this morning about AI and teaching. And edutech, this was very, very, very interesting. It works with algorithm, with probabilities. And when we have on the right side the but, it always provides an answer. It must not always be the best answer or the right answer. And we have to look about the ethic perspectives of ChatGPT. And I think this picture of a nutshell is very, very, very good for that what I showed you by the slides, 2 slides before. In this nutshell, in the last years, there is no place or only a little place for education. So we have to put this on the stage, and we have to tell a lot about education. You remember, it's the only 64 places in Germany from the 2,100 which are on our map, where go about education. And I think this is the most important thing which we have to change in the next years. And I'm happy, I'm quite happy, because I think this conference is an important step towards that goal. Thank you for your attention.
예, 우리 미하엘 하이스터 독일 연방직업교육훈련연구소 BIBB라고 그러죠. 다 아마 익숙하실 것 같습니다. 우리가 독일 직업교육훈련 시스템을 벤치마킹을 오랫동안 해왔기 때문에 본부장님으로부터 굉장히 좀 인포머티브하고 좀 클리어하게 지금 돌아가는 상황을 설명을 해주신 것 같아요. 독일의 상황이 솔직하게. 우리가 듀얼 시스템이라고 하는 거는 잘 알고 있는 제도인데, 이 AI의 교육이 왜 필요한가 하는 부분을 실제 독일에서 현장 교사들과의 리서치에 기초해서 수요를 좀 보여주신 것, 부문별로 또 계층별로도 특히 저숙련이나 이런 근로자 및 이런 계층의 경우에 AI에 대한 AI 활용이나 이해가 굉장히 낮기 때문에 굉장히 이런 그룹들에 대해서 더 집중적으로 AI 교육이 이루어질 필요가 있다, 이런 말씀해 주신 것 같고, 전반적으로 계속교육 훈련에서 지금 AI 교육이 굉장히 중요하고 강조될 필요가 있는데 그런 준비가 충분하진 못하다라는 그런 뉘앙스이신 것 같다는 생각이 듭니다. 미하엘 하이스터 BIBB 본부장님 다시 한번 박수로 감사의 말씀 전했습니다. Thank you for your impressive and informative presentation. 예, 다음은 싱가포르의 사례를 듣도록 하겠습니다. 소개가 되고 있죠. 우리 곡순주 스킬스퓨처 싱가포르 조직 이름인데요. 스킬스퓨처 무브먼트가 지금 국책 이런 직업교육 훈련 추진 기관이라고 그럴까요? 거기에 이제 그 최고 연구 담당자이십니다. 바로 발표를 듣도록 하겠습니다. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Professor Kang. First, I'd like to thank CREVET for the long-term collaborations with Singapore for many years, and also inviting SkillsFuture Singapore to share our work at this very prestigious conference. Thank you. Yeah, so over the next 20 minutes or so, I will share our work of SkillsFuture movement, because a lot of associates across the world think that SkillsFuture is all about SkillsFuture credits, but actually it's more than that. Yeah. First, let me explain what is SkillsFuture movement. It's actually a whole of nations movement where we want to mobilize everybody in Singapore, enterprises, citizens, trade associate chambers, including government agencies, and also education and training institutions to partake in this, the need to embark on lifelong learning. For a very simple reason is the economic transformation is ongoing, as we can see sometimes driven by external factors, and we need to make sure that our people are competitive and they have the right skill sets on the one hand to be able to pursue their ever-changing career aspirations throughout their lifespan. It's not just about the early career, and that required heavy investment by everybody, including themselves, the time needed. And same for the company to invest in their employees so that they have the skilled workforce to support the transformations. So that underpins why this is a SkillsFuture movement. It will take many, 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 many years. It will not end. It's just the beginning. So we started in 2016. And as an agency, SkillsFuture Singapore, we are part of the Ministry of Education. So we are the agencies that, as a National Skills Authority, we are the one that implement and drive and coordinate the whole movement. Yeah. From a stakeholder's perspective, so what's our work in SkillsFuture movement? For individual citizens in Singapore, we want to allow them to take ownership of their own career progressions, career planning, and lifelong learning so that they can achieve and realize their career aspiration throughout their life. For enterprises, we want to engage companies to articulate what kind of skills they need because they are going through transformations, and able to help them aggregate the skills on demand sensing so that we can then activate training later on. And to encourage, very importantly, is to encourage company to recognize skills and adopt a skills-based HR practices. For education and training partners, is super important in the whole work of SkillsFuture movement. We expect them to raise the industry relevance, the quality, and the market responsiveness. So at the end, it's about the speed to market of the kind of courses they can offer. And also, of course, adult educator. We must make sure that our adult educator are also up to mark as sufficient adult educator to make sure the supply of training courses is on the go. And we adopt an ecosystem approach because it's super important to strengthen the link between skills supply and skills demand, and we need to tighten the coordination between so that we can try to close the skills gap as quickly as possible. So we have an easy way to remember what we do. We call it the 4A models. It started with getting employers, industries, to articulate the skills in demand. What do I need in terms of skills? Which I'll talk about it later on, why the reason we need to have a common skills language, which is undertaken by SkillsFuture Singapore. So we establish common skills language, so whenever employer talk about skills, we know exactly what they're talking about. And then we need to help employer to aggregate the kind of needs. How many people need to train in what kind of job role, in what kind of skills, when? And then inform the education and training industry to activate the learning supply. And then with all that, then we can inform or signpost to the workforce to say that, hey, these are all the in-demand skills really hot in the market and your employer needs this, you should go for a training. So the signposting become very important. So this is where our part of our own AI adoptions comes in. We adopt, in order to help our ecosystem to be responsive and resilient, we use a lot of big data from different sources, from job postings to CV data to training consumptions data in the market, also look at the global trends, and then we create skills taxonomy, job skills ontologies, so that we can understand and analyze how jobs are changing, how skills demand are moving. And some skills may be very enduring, they don't change all the time, but the component that change most maybe is tools and applications that change the most. So with that information, then we can actually translate down into information, and we push out targeted dissemination strategy to different target segment. For training provider, education training provider, we do provide data set to them. We also develop algorithm, machine learning algorithm, allow them to match their courses to the skills in demand, so that they can adjust and adjust their curriculum faster. And of course, then it will flow down to planning at the sectorial level, how at the sectorial level, what kind of talent inflowed, what kind of incumbents workforce need to be trained, and then the courses will be ready and standby. And of course, as I mentioned earlier on, we do provide cost fee subsidies to the individuals and to employers to defray the out-of-pocket expenses. And then we monitor the whole program at the program level, to the sectorial level, and also at the national level, the kind of outcome we are monitoring. Yeah, so in order to do all that at the ecosystem level, we need very high level of coordinations, both at sector and national level, to strengthen the nexus between supply and demand. So the government play SkillsFuture play a convener roles in between to make sure that the supply and demands are matched. And we must bring all the stakeholders to the table. And tripartite partnership is very key in Singapore. So we have the labor union, the enterprises represented by companies, and also the trade association and chambers, and also the government. The sector lead will come in to coordinate the needs of the economy, the needs of their workforce. Where are the talent, the talent pipeline? What kind of skills is needed over the next few? And this process is ongoing all the time. And I list down some of the 4 key questions we constantly ask ourselves about what kind of skills we need for the emerging area. How can this skill set support enterprises transformation, be it digitalizations or be it going green agendas? And also we've paid a lot of attention to those who needed more help, considered vulnerable segment. It can be small, medium enterprises because they may have be lacking in human HR capability to plan and to execute training. So how can we help small, medium enterprises to do more of this more effectively through some intermediary coordinations, or also some part of the workforce? As we mentioned, I think earlier on, Michael talked about in Germany they have the low-skilled workforce. Similarly, we need to look at that as well, is those who can't access training on their own, how can we enable their workplaces to send them for training? So these are things that we focus on. And how do we better match industry demand to training? So these are 4 key questions. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we use a lot of algorithm and AI to monitor, but we also commission research, because some of the understanding, the in-depth study, the data alone is insufficient. So we do work with research institutions to commission research so that we can better understand the future needs. And some of the things we are constantly looking at, maybe the way of the future work arrangement, whether there are more portfolio work coming along, although the current data set, research has not pointed to the massive shifts from a full-time job towards more portfolio work, but we're monitoring some of these closely. So similarly, we will publish, we continue to publish job skills insights at different levels. Some job skills insights are for policy decision-making. Some job skills insights are for university, polytechnic, our training institutions to understand where the new future trend is going, and some of the job skill insights are directly addressing to the citizens so that they know what is to come. These informations are available online. You are welcome to take a look. Come back to digital skills, tech skills. We adopt a three-tier approach. We think it's very, very important to focus on the general user, where most of us will be considered general user. So in this case, I use a Gen AI as an example. Most of us primarily will be just using some of the ready solutions to do complete part of the work tasks. So we must enable help the workforce understand how the Gen AI can ethically and responsibly be used at their workplaces. So that is a general workforce training. So over the last few years, we have implemented SkillsFuture for digital workplaces. And it goes down to every company who can train all their workforce in short, sharp manner that they can select the technology and the kind of digital tools that is relevant to their firms and introduce this to their workforce. Be it you are in the manufacturing sector, or in the air transport sectors, or in the retail sectors, you know what kind of digital skill set and application and tools that the workforce needed. And this has been very well received, so that we try to level up all the digital skills literacy of the workforce in general. Then, of course, we still need to train the power user, those who know how to generate, for example, we cited here, generate avatar, audio, visual content, and design collateral. And we see these are super users, and they must also equally know where are the causes, what kind of skill set, what kind of application is needed. At the top tier, which is very niche, very small group of people, will be the creator of the models, and also the general solution providers. Yeah, so from our perspective, we need to train all levels to address all levels of skills needs. Ongoingly, we monitor digital skills, and we call it tech light and tech heavy role. As I mentioned, you look at the general user and the super user, a power user, they tend to be in the tech light role, which means their job, their tasks involve less technology. It's not about developing the deep tech, but they are able to use. So we monitor these job roles in Singapore, but we're also monitoring a global high-tech hub across different cities in the world, so that we know how to benchmark our workforce competitiveness with others. So below there are two diagrams. It's just example of how we are tracking the digital skills components changes within each job roles, whether be it a tech heavy or tech light. And this is very important because we need to know whether at what point in time we need to intervene to introduce programs that may be shorter than a 4-year degree course, but we need to quickly skill up people in order to move into very high demand jobs. And is this job role trainable? So we want to know that, so that the understanding the skills component becomes very key. And then on the other side of the diagram is talking about how we're tracking what digital skills are trending, changing over every 5 years interval. Is it really trending and changing? And from our current perspective is typically digital skills change fast, and apps and tools change very fast. But the rest of the skill set tend to be quite stable. In terms of who are the providers in Singapore, we have changed the mandate in 2017 to make sure that our universities, our polytechnic, our IT, our public institutions change from just providing education, the front-end loading of education of pre-employment training. We change our mandate to become Institute of Continuous Learning. So they will walk the journey with the workforce throughout, not just the first 4 years, the 4 years before they graduate in the workforce, but the rest of the 30 years, 40 years of the life journey. So they become partners in lifelong learning. So that was a very important move from our perspective to make sure that we have quality supply of training courses. But we don't think that's insufficient. We don't think that's sufficient. So we also leverage private education institutions, private training providers, and more importantly, moving forward, more enterprises stepping up to train beyond their workforce, to train for the industries. And this is important, and workplace is the best place to train. So that is another pillar of our provisions. What are we trying to do here in terms of whether providing cost-free subsidies or providing signposting or providing courses? At the end, we can summarize into three key barriers we try to remove. One is the cost barriers. Is it expensive to have out-of-pocket expenses that we want people to go for training constantly? So SkillsFuture credits that you heard about is for individual Singaporean 25 years and above. They will have, the first tranche was introduced in 2016, all 25 years and above get first $500 credits, and they can use it to decide what courses they want to go for. Notwithstanding what their employer want to send them for other kind of training, but they can make their own decisions. We also provide SkillsFuture credits for enterprises, especially for small, medium enterprises. So again, it's $10,000 for eligible SME. They can use it to do their own training. But a large part of our budget, our expenses, actually go into cost-free subsidies, which is curated courses that is relevant to our economy, where skills that matter are funded typically from 50% all the way to 90%, depends on who you are. So small, medium enterprises immediately enjoy 90% cost-free subsidies, so they can use the SkillsFuture credit for pay off the 10% that's not subsidized. Whereas individual, if you're 40 and above, you enjoy 90% costly subsidies, and again, you can use SkillsFuture credit to pay for the non-funded portions. So in a nutshell, this is what we try to do to defray, to remove the cost barrier, so the individual do not have to, and the company do not have to worry about the expenses needed to fund training. We do ongoingly review the need to top up SkillsFuture credit. So last year, we did a top up, another $500 for all Singaporean 25 and above. The 40 year and above have an extra $500. So you have not utilized, they will have $1,500 in the pocket. And that is for special curated courses if they intended to do career switch to a high growth industry. So there are different pockets. So the SkillsFuture credit is a kind of demand side funding that we can see how we can nudge people to go for upskilling and reskilling. The second barrier that we're trying to remove is actually a choice barrier. Is people ask, so what skills do I need? What is in demand, and what kind of courses should I go for? If I want to stay in my job, what are the things that I need to do more? I need to learn more. Or if I want to move to another career, what are the pivots? What are the adjacent area that I can go into? So we do provide both online advisory services. So my SkillsFuture portal, my Career Future portals are available for people to just self-help for informations. But we also have in-person advisory services where citizens can sign up. So they can register for one-on-one conversations with either the career coaches, or they can sign up with a skill ambassador to have a conversation about where they are today, where they want to go next. We try to do more for everybody in Singapore. And of course, there are more small class sciences where people can sign up SkillsFuture advisory workshops. Within 2 hours, they will understand all the resources available to help them decide what a reskilling, upskilling journey, their career mobility choices. And as I mentioned earlier on, we publish job skills intelligence, job skills insights, so that they can download for their use. And these job skills intelligence and insights are very useful because many of the university, polytechnic, and IT, or even at larger career coaches, they find it super important for them to able to help guide their coaches or people who come to them for advice. Thirdly is situational barrier. How can we remove situational barrier? I think the first question if you ask people is, why didn't you go for training? They will always tell you, I have no time because my work is heavy, I have my family to take care of. So we ask ourselves, how can we then make learning flexible? To make learning flexible, we ask our training and education provider to cut courses into stackable modules that they can learn one at a time and not to have to commit and sign up everything at one go. So once you finish a module, you can always decide when you're going to do the next module, and this stackability allows them to adjust the timing. Secondly is a lot of for adult learning courses take place in the evening or over the weekend. So they can adjust, again, is some of the training can be during working hours, some of the training can be after work, some of the training can be over the weekend. So it depends on their need, and some of the training are online. So this flexibility is very important. And now moving forward, we are looking at systematically build up more and more workplaces to be learning workplace. Because the best place to learn is actually at work. If it's too far away, an institution-based, there are some merits, but we're trying to see how to connect the institution-based supported with workplace learning. And more workplaces can offer their own training, their own development, and the best is learning through the work. Yeah, so the ambition is hopefully we can have 50,000 small, medium enterprises able to do that over a period of time. Of course, a large company today, they are all able to do so because they have very strong, robust HR team, L&D team around. But I think it's more important for us, from a perspective, is the small, medium enterprises are able to do so. Okay, so that by removing all this barrier to reskilling, upskilling, we hope the whole nations will be able to enjoy the benefits of constant reskilling and upskilling. While we talk a lot at this conference about AI skills, tech skills, digital skills, but I want to draw everybody's attention back to critical core skills. Some people may call it soft skills. So in 2021, we launched this critical core skills in Singapore. After extensive research with our industry, we consulted 128 C-suite, 120 CHO, CHRO, CEO, COO, and also the line supervisors. And we asked them what is important for the future of workforce, the kind of skill set needed for the future workforce. And we derive this 16 critical core skills in 3 baskets. And it's very interesting. Before I go further, I just want to let you know that when we look back the past 12 years of job posting, the 3 critical core skills ranking never changed. Number 1, communication. Employer always want communication. Number 2, collaborations. Number 3, problem solving. So it never changed for the past 12 years. And why we want to cluster this critical core skill into 3 baskets is to give that focus on some of this critical core skill is about ourselves. So the thing about staying relevant, about the ability to learn in a very agile manner, because today, no matter how much our previous education can teach us, it will be expired in no time. So we must have the ability to learn very fast and then translate it into performance. The employer expecting us to learn and fast and able to implement. So the agility to learn is very key. Self-awareness about ourselves, and then having a global perspective, because there's nothing domestic anymore. Everything is about global. And digital fluency. Always catch up at what's the latest. You don't have to know everything in depth, but actually you need to know what is the latest tools in demands, apps in demands, and the ability to adapt very quickly. So that is the first basket of staying relevant about self, which is self-needed. The second basket is about working with others. At the end of the day, no matter how many machines we have, we ultimately at the workplaces is about working with colleagues, working with vendors, working with clients, working with partners. So the interacting with others is very important, and there are 6 of them there, as we mentioned. Very interesting, the building inclusivity become one of the key things. Before 2021, it didn't appear, but I think the employers, the workplaces are saying that this is super important now because building inclusivity is one of the key agenda. And I also want to highlight developing people. Developing people is not the job of a HR, it is the job of everybody. So in their workplaces, we want to be able to have everybody have the mindset and the capability to help someone else learn, be it new colleagues, or be existing colleague do a new task. How can you go about helping each other to be able to learn something new together, and then without fear that we can do it together? So this, in a nutshell, explains the interacting with others. And the part about thinking critically, it's about cognitive skills and the need to, because there's a lot of information, the need to sense make what is important to me, to my work, to my company, to my industries is very key. And the need to think in a transdisciplinary manner, because the wicked problem today is not a single discipline can do so. So how to bring everybody together with different disciplines to come and solve a problem. Problem solving is there, creative thinking is very important, as I mentioned earlier on, is always featured the top 5, and the kind of how to go about making decisions using data, working with machines to make their decisions. So I just want to emphasize that let's not overly focus on Gen AI skills and the AI skills. Yes, it is important, but it is this that is enduring skills that we need to develop in our people. In our report in 2022 that we published last year, called Skills Demand for Future Economy, you can download in Chapter 4, we did a study. We did a study by interviewing a few thousands people in different, it's nationally represented, and how important are these skill sets in their work. You can take a look. And we also roll out a critical core skills profiling tool. So you can use that same report, you can link you to the skills profiling tool that we have developed. So because we want as many people, as many workplaces as possible to be able to use developed critical core skills and use critical core skills. And this is not, the critical core skill I want to mention is, it is not a one-time, once you learn it, that's enough. You have to keep practicing, because then the competency will come. This is my second last slide. I just want to very quickly summarize our practices in Singapore and SkillsFuture movement. For us, a skilled and competitive workforce is a foundation to having an inclusive society where everybody benefits from the economic growth. And SkillsFuture movement supports not just economic development through skills development and labor force enhancement, but it also supports individual citizens to fulfill potential in achieving their career aspirations. As I mentioned, it's not one, it's always multiple episodes that we need to look at. And one form of institutional arrangement, which is very different, maybe different from Germany or any part of the world, is in Singapore, the government plays a very active convener role. So we try to convene people to come to the table to discuss the skills, jobs and skills issues as we discuss the economic transformation. And the national skills agenda requires very tight coordinations of stakeholders. The conversation is ongoing at multiple levels all the time. And for quality and responsive training provision is key. So what they watch over, we do have TRACOM, which is end of course survey and outcome survey that we're monitoring whether the investment in reskilling, upskilling have yield the desired outcome. And of course, as I mentioned earlier on, is to really be mindful all the time about are there barriers that people or company can't access reskilling and upskilling, then we need to go in to intervene. In case you're interested, how successful is SkillsFuture? I would say that there is a marked change. If we compare the training participation rate of last year, December 2022, with 2015, the labor force training participation has increased from 35% to 50%. And we hope to see this continue to improve. The top chart there is looking at how many individuals participated in SSG, SkillsFuture Singapore supported training. So over the last few years, the trend has been going up. And you see that in Singapore, there is a very interesting trend. Despite of COVID pandemic, we didn't shut down training. Actually, the training went up, and this is a typical situation in Singapore. Is whenever there is a downturn, we always invest more in training, and more people are coming forth because they may have more time and they are able to invest in themselves, be it for company or individuals. So the trend so far is going okay. We think is steady, is stable, healthy, and we want to keep that going. So the bottom chart is about how many companies are involving sending their staff for training, tapping on our fundings. Again, if you compare, if you ignore the 2021, which is an exceptional year, the last year compared to 2019, pre-COVID, it is also very healthy. So I think that, in a nutshell, kind of, well, saying that, yep, we're on the right track, but we'll continue to improve our system so we can do our things, do our work better. That's all I have. Thank you very much for your attention.
네, 곡순주 박사님, 굉장히 그 체계적으로 우리 이 스킬스퓨처 무브먼트에 대해서 설명을 해주신 것 같습니다. 감사합니다. 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 다 들으셔서 아시겠지만 우리가 큰 방향에서는 되게 공감하는 내용들일 수 있습니다. 지금 그 스킬스퓨처 무브먼트의 흐름이라고 하는 그런 내용에서 그 4A 프레임워크라고 하는 것도 말은 좀 다르지만 우리도 이 HRD 프로그램을 할 때 그런 노력들을 그런 프레임워크에서 노력을 하고 있기도 하고요. 또 이 스킬 디벨롭먼트 에코시스템 생태계의 흐름도 아이덴티피케이션부터 디세미네이션, 그다음은 액티베이션, 모니터링이라고 하는 그 사이클 이렇게 해서 관리를 한다는데 지금 싱가포르의 사례를 보면 아마 느끼셨겠지만 굉장히 그 내용들이 굉장히 구체적이고 그 각각이 그냥 이런 이론이나 탁상에서 이루어지는 게 아니라 실제로 그 현장에서 그게 실현되고 있다는 것을 이렇게 적용하는 좀 체감을 한다고 그럴까 느낄 수 있었던 것 같습니다. 당연히 그런 결과겠죠. 지금 그 결론 부분에서도 말씀을 해주셨지만 그 스킬스퓨처 무브먼트가 굉장히 성공적이다. 인상적인 것은 그 코로나19 팬데믹 상황에서도 오히려 그 투자가 더 늘고 참가도 더 많아졌다 하는 그런 말씀들, 그리고 그 중간중간에도 성공적인 그 인덱스들을 많이 보여주신 것 같습니다. 이러한 그 굉장히 시스테매틱한 그 싱가포르는 셋이라고 그러던데 컨티뉴어스 에듀케이션 트레이닝으로서 이 계속 교육 훈련에 대한 투자가 이 SSG 스킬스퓨처인가 싱가포르이 중심이 돼서 굉장히 체계적으로 이렇게 전달된다 하는 것을 알게 되었는데, 우리나라의 경우도 많이 관계한 연구기관 우리 직능위원이 있고요. 그리고 이 내용에서 보면은 한국고용정보원에서 하는 일정한 그 스킬에 대한 조사라든가 또 분석하고 그걸 또 전파하고 하는 이런 것들, 인력 수급인가요? 그런 걸 포함해서 또 우리 직업능력 심사평가원이 있죠. 이런 데서 모니터링하고 또 과정에 대한 평가들 하고 하는 이런 것들이 지금 SSG 여기 한 군데에서 아마 다 관리하고 이루어지는 게 아닌가. 제가 혹시 그 미문인지는 모르겠습니다. 그렇게 이해를 했습니다. 아까 오기 전에 제가 질문을 해봤는데 여기에 재직자가 한 450명 연구자들이 고급 인력이 대부분이죠. 이렇게 있다고 그럽니다. 그래서 굉장히 그 성공적인 싱가포르의 이런 직업교육 훈련을 이끄는 그런 기관이고 또 그런 시스템 무브먼트가 그 역할을 해왔다 하는 것을 느낄 수 있었습니다. 하나 지금 이제 계속 우리가 딜레마로 얘기가 되는 건데 AI에 대한 교육 훈련의 중요성을 계속 얘기를 합니다만은 그 AI에 대한 하드웨어 그 관련한 지식이나 기술들이 중요하긴 하지만 굉장히 그 코어 스킬로 강조를 해주셨죠. 여전히 우리 인성에서 인간만이 갖고 있는 소프트 스킬 이게 굉장히 중요하다. 그 AI 이런 빅블러 시대에 이런 요구된 스킬들이 있긴 하지만 여전히 그럴 때일수록 이제 아까 이 소통, 협업, 문제 해결 능력, 창의성을 포함해서 이런 것들이 오히려 더 중요해진다는 이런 거는 굉장히 좀 그 임플리케이션이 큰 그런 말씀이지 않았나 이런 생각을 합니다. 감사합니다. 자, 이제 그 질문을 받도록 하겠습니다. 몇 개의 질문들이 이미 올라와 있고요. 제가 이게 정리를 하면서 올려야 되는데 좀 쭉 제가 언론을 훑어보면서 봤는데 우선 공통적으로 두 나라의 공통적으로 우선 독일에 대한 질문을 하나 드리겠습니다. 그 미하엘 하이스터 박사님, 자 제가 You can see monitor. 그 독일이 굉장히 조합주의적인 국가라고 그러잖아요. 모든 정책을 결정하고 전달함에 있어서 노사정이 균원하고 이렇게 하는데 특히 사업주들이 역할이 굉장히 중요할 수 있는데 특히 이제 이 직업교육훈련 그렇죠. 이 디지털 스킬에 있어서 그 역할이 어떤지 실제로 사업주들이 아까 발표할 때 좀 나오긴 했습니다만은 그게 뭐 거버넌스라든가 실제 전달함에 있어서 사업주들이 디지털 스킬 개발 관련해서 어떤 역할을 하고 있는지 이거에 대해서 간단히 답을 좀 해줄 수 있습니까? 이런 질문입니다.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very interesting question, and it's difficult to answer it because, as we see it in, I think, last 2-3 years, AI is first of all a thematic in the academic discussion in Germany, and it's not a discussion, and this is why I take this focus that everyone should get skills for AI, that everyone should, every worker should see how AI works, and this is I think a long way. In the moment, it's more a thing in universities, it's a thing in schools, and we begin to bring it in the apprenticeships, as I showed it. And I think we need in Germany some years to get the same level than Singapore in this case. That's a pity, but I think it's the reality. And so the focus of business and industry, I told it in the presentation. Normally it's today this age between 30 and 39, and it's not low-skilled workers, but it's high-skilled workers in the companies. And I think we need a new strategy, and we need it. When I say we, when it's something together with government, with the trade unions, and with business and industry. So, but it's on the way, but it's little, and I hope it will be more in the next years.
네, 감사합니다. 이게 아마 이 질문 같이 연결이 될 것 같습니다. 이건 우리 인터프리터께서 번역을 해주시는데 대개 이제 근로자에 대한 직업 훈련에 대해서 고용주들은 꺼리는 경향이 있거든요. 일을 해야 될 시간을 따로 빼서 훈련을 시키는 게 좀 부담스럽다, 이런 이유죠. 그런데 지금 독일이나 싱가포르의 경우에 아까 그 비즈니스에서 사업주들이 그런 부분에 대해서 어떻게 그런 저항이나 또 거부감은 없는지, 어떤 이유로 그렇지 않다면 어떤 이유로 그렇게 재직 근로자들에 대해서 직업 교육을 투자를 하는지, 이런 질문인 것 같습니다. 두 나라. 예.
To be very honest, if you look at Singapore, the 2022 results, only 25,000 companies are sending their staff for training in that year. Ideally, is we have close to 300,000 companies. Why aren't 300,000 companies sending their staff for training? Maybe they're not tapping on a government's fund. So I think they are company understand they need to send their staff for training. Because without skilled workforce, they can't do the work for the company. Especially you want to introduce new technology or introduce new product lines or get to new markets, you need staff with the skills. So not having skilled workforce is no longer an option. And they cannot go around recruiting because the tight labor market means it's very difficult to recruit people with the right skill set to join you. You have no choice but to have to train your own staff first. I think the key is employers, a lot of time, as I mentioned, is I have no time. My staff is needed to do the operations, my staff is needed to run the business. So how can we go on making sure that they have, this barrier is removed? That's why I talk about situational barrier is, how can then we have a negotiation from training provider with the company to say that if we make this arrangement, can your staff come for training? Can I make some of the learning at your workplace so that it's not everything 100% out of work, some work can be at your workplace. So there's a lot of this kind of discussions needed, negotiation needed, and arrangement needed to at the ground level to make sure it works. Because I believe every organization's employers understand they need to train their workforce, but they have limited resources, especially for small, medium enterprises. So I think this is the part that I think we need to help them overcome. Yeah.
I think it's the same problem in Germany. It's for the small companies. It's today it's very, very difficult to get workers. It's more than difficult, and we have to do something to get these workers, and so we have also to do something to skill them, and the government tries to help, but it's very, very, very complicated for small companies, and also it's for big companies complicated. In the next 5 years, we will lose in Germany from I don't know. I think we have 42 million workers, and we will lose something like 5 million because of the demographic situation. And this is a situation where companies have to act, and where they have to do something to get skilled workers or to educate them.
Yeah.
Maybe can I just follow up on what are some of the stuff that programs that we're doing in Singapore. It's always prototyping because we're trying to see how can we help more SME to come, especially when the 70% of the workforce in Singapore are employed by SME. So we have introduced two schemes, and maybe I just introduced. One of them is a Queen Bee approach. We identify in each of some of the key industry where they are market leaders. For example, a supermarket chain. A supermarket chain that they work with a value chain of small, medium enterprises who are supplying products to them. And we ask ourselves can we make use of the supermarket chain as a queen bee to then ask themselves if you can reskill the employees of your value chain of small, medium enterprises, how would it help your business? Can be digitalizations, can be better way to package stuff, can be better shelf life, can be lower cost. So with that, then they can help to mobilize the small, medium enterprises around them to achieve the outcome. So they have the responsibility to train the workforce. Or they can be a market leader. That means they are very, very good in certain solutions and technology. And we then enable them to say that, okay, you go around, bring small, medium enterprises in to adopt your solutions with training. So I think we are implementing this now. There are some success, I must say. We hope to recruit more Queen Bee to do so. So this is one way, because it is about showing the small, medium enterprises why you need to train, and also help them overcome the situational barrier. The other program that we're trying to implement in Singapore is just beginning, is to, in this industry where there's a lot of small, medium enterprises, but the absence of large company, Queen Bee, then can we have set up a job skills integrator as an intermediary? It can be a trade association and chambers to them rally and going around and ask the small, medium enterprises, so what kind of skills you needed, what kind of training you need, in what form you needed, and then they will activate, the rest will come and provide the supply. It's still in the beginning of, this JC is still in the beginning of prototyping, so we maybe can report back in a few years' time.
네, 땡큐. 우리 지금 스킬스퓨처 무브먼트에 대한 질문이 굉장히 많습니다. 이 시간이 어떻게 될지 모르겠는데, 근데 이게 답이 좀 돼야 될 것 같다는 생각이, 많이 아는 분이 질문을 해주신 것 같아요. 이것도 관계에서 우리 곡순주 박사님이 계속 답을 좀 해주셔야 될 것 같은데, 아마 첫 번째 질문은 그 이제 특히 소외계층, 취약계층들에 대한 얘기는 아까 설명을 해주셨던 것 같긴 합니다만, 특히 두 번째 경우에 아까 크레딧 말씀을 해주셨잖아요. 한국 돈으로 42만 원이라고 그러네요. 모든 국민에게. 예산이 어떻게 확보가 되고 어디서 나오는 거고 어떻게 또 매년 확보가 돼야 될 거 아닙니까? 그런 것에 대한 질문인 것 같습니다.
Thanks. Very good questions. I think the first question is about we need to pay attention to the vulnerable group, which means we need data. We need data point to understand who is using and who is not using. It's very important. So with the SkillsFuture credit, now we have a direct relationship with the citizens. We know which age band is using it for what purpose, how much they use each time. So for the younger generation, they typically will just spend $500 in one single course. The older generations tend to use it very slowly in different courses. And the middle band, the citizens tend to use it for courses that were they will give them some kind of income security in case they lose a job, they can do something else. So it's very interesting to see the kind of phenomenon. Yeah, so come back to the data part is we need to watch over who is attending training, who is not attending training, who is using and who is not using. And the part about who is falling behind will require very specific targeted program. The very specific targeted program to ensure that we really can reach them. It's not easy, so we're always looking at people who are, there are small portion of in the workforce that have lower than post-secondary education. And this portion, we know that this proportion of the workforce, because it may be life situations, they just want to do work very quickly and want to get income first, and they never think about the future. And if they don't reskill themselves as they age, their income would likely to be declining. Then how can we at the right point inject and get them back into the workforce and defray some of the opportunity costs to bring them back in? So these are things that we are constantly looking at the data set and looking at reviewing the programs to make sure that we can catch them. So there are many different, some aspect may be the people with disability or different ability. We're also looking at how to help people with different ability to able to get the work-job match. It may be sometimes required workplaces to redesign the jobs to get the people to come in to join. So the key is about watching over who we need to watch over, because the rest will self-serve. They can help themselves a lot. But those who can't, we need to watch over and which channel can really reach them. And that required very close monitoring. So that's the first question. Second question is, yeah, it is the government's commitment from a very early day to think about how to have sustainable financing for lifelong learning. So there are two pool of funds that we constantly receive. SSG is the administrator. First pool of fund is a skills development levy that we expect employers, is by legislation, employer must pay for every workforce they have in their company. So it's, if I recall correctly, it's 0.025% of the wages pegged at $6,000, max $6,000 or $11 equivalent. So we collect this on an ongoing basis. So that form a large part of the budget. The second budget comes from government. We have a lifelong learning endowment fund. Government pledged $5 billion, and SkillsFuture Singapore can utilize the interest generated from the fund to fund this. So we have two pools of funds. In the exception year where, let's say, COVID, a pandemic come, or the suddenly downturn, and this pool of fund is inadequate to fund, then the government will give us, the Ministry of Finance will give us extra fundings just to tie over that special period, which is a ring-fence budget to do that. So we have a system in place to ensure we have adequate funding.
감사합니다. 예, 계속 질문이 나오네요. 이게 아마 우리 교육과정 지금 아까 스킬스퓨처에서 여러 역량들을 파악을 하고 이렇게 디세미네이트하고 그러는데 그게 교육과정으로 어떻게 반영이 되는지, 어떤 방식으로 반영이 된다면 어떤 방식으로 하는지 교육 프로그램에 그런 질문인 것 같습니다. 좀 테크니컬한 퀘스천이죠.
Yes, we are part of a Ministry of Education family. Yeah, number one. So it's quite fitting that the general education side will take notice and take note of the skills that we're articulating. So the 16 critical core skills I mentioned is incorporated into 21st century skills for the general education for students in the school sector. Because the school sector has to take care of many things from the formative year all the way up to nearing them joining the workforce. So they have to take care of in primary school, secondary school, all the way to maybe higher educations, what kind of skill set is needed to stack up to get the workforce ready. So I think they will adjust the kind of 21st century skills accordingly to their curriculum. So our jobs and skills informations are shared with university, polytechnic, ITE, Institute of Technical Educations. This data source is available to them. They can use it, and we also created algorithm so they can at any one time submit their curriculum up in this algorithm and see how many of the skills is matched. If they disagree with us, they can always tell us that there are new skill set I want to include in. So there's a two-way flow of how we communicate with each other, and we think that by creating this job skills intelligence that flow both way is very useful, because the university is also a research institutions. They do create new knowledge and new way of doing things and new solutions. So receiving information back from them is important. So in a nutshell, our job skills insight inform 21st century skills. The career counseling, the ECG office, Education Career Counseling Office in the general education side, utilizes our job skills intelligence very seriously. So every year we have a dialogue with them to help them understand what are the latest trends. They invite us to talk. We go to schools as well, a school cluster to share informations. And for the higher education side, because they're closer to the workforce, they are more keen to understand how job role has changed, what are the most in-demand job and skills, and then what the emerging skills trend, and also which employer is demanding what, because it's closely related to how they want to implement internships, how they want to implement work-study program, which is another key program in Singapore where students spend substantive amount of time at the workplace learning, and then 30% of the time at the institutions. Yeah, that's how we work with each other.
Thank you. 잠깐 독일로 다시 넘어올까요? 예. 그 듀얼 어프렌티십하고 마이스터 프로그램 뭐 다 하실 겁니다. 독일이 이제 아주 유명하지 않습니까? 이 디지털 스킬 훈련을 시킬 학생들이 이걸 개발할 때 지금 이 제도가 어떤 식으로 연기가 되는지 이런 질문인 것 같습니다.
I think if you go to digital skills, I think it's very good because in the apprenticeships today, I showed it to you, we have the standard, in Germany, we say in German Berufsbildposition, this standard position of digitalized work. And so every learner comes in this field and everyone will learn it. So I think it's very important to get these digital skills, and it's the same with the Master program. So I think it's the efforts are good in Germany. That's one point. The second point, I want to go back to the question concerning the vulnerable groups, because it's also in Germany a problem. We have since 1990, so in the last 30 years, this group is always the same from the size, and we spend a lot of money to get it less, but it doesn't work. And we have one of the Länder in Germany. We have in the federal system. We have 16 Länders, and we have one of the Länder. It's Hamburg. It's a big city also, and in this big city, we succeed in this question, and they succeed really with one measure, and this measure is monitoring. You mentioned it. It's only monitoring. They know where the young people who left school, where they go and what they can do for them, that they get a job and that they get apprenticeship and that they learn something. And it's only from the 16 Länder, it's only Hamburg with a population from roughly 2 million people, because also it's a little Länder, it's a little land, so it's only Hamburg who succeed in this question, and this is for me very, very important. It's a question of monitoring. It's not a question of a lot of money. It's really a question of monitoring.
네, 감사합니다. 또 곡순주 박사님 쪽 아까 설명이 좀 발표하실 때도 나오긴 했던 것 같습니다만은 이 어떤 한 사람의 스킬을 평가하고 측정하는 그런 거에 좀 지혜 이거를 좀 구하고 싶다라는 얘기인 것 같아요. 어떤 사람이 어떤 스킬을 갖고 있는지, 예를 들면 커뮤니케이션 스킬을 얘기를 했는데 그걸 어떻게 평가를 해서 점수를 매기고 이렇게 하는지 하는 그런 테크니컬한 질문인 것 같습니다.
At the national level, by SkillsFuture Singapore, we don't measure individuals' skills. But if you're referring to the skills profiling tool that we designed and implemented, it is more to help individuals understand whether their work required all 16 skills, or some of the skills are more important because of the nature of their work. Whether you are frontline, let's say maybe you are working in healthcare as a nurse, versus the teachers, do you require the same 16? Maybe some are more important than the others. So we use that profiling tool to help individual understand the needs. And if you look into the profiling, the design of the profiling tools, we actually ask questions on tasks. Do you perform? How important is this tasks in your daily work? So we actually unpack the skills into task-based questions, so that people can say that, I do this, but I don't do this. So we understand that in the communications, do they involve in complex communications or less complex communications? So there's a difference. So we unpack the skills using the profiling tool to help them better understand and help the supervisor better understand what do you mean by communication, because it's such a broad word. So it can be complex communications at the presentations, or is it about designing a campaign, or is it about going to close the sales with your clients? So I think there are very different kind of communication. So we try kind of unpack that. So at the national level, we don't measure or assess whether the skills is the general skills is like communication. How good are you? No, actually, it's a workplace. It is actually workplace requirement to do so. So we did another study to look into workplaces. Is to what extent, if you have clarity of what the task is needed behind communication, it helps the staff to perform better in the required communication. And the study shows that it will require the supervisor of the workforce to have a clarity of what do I need them to do. So again, to go to the task base. So the supervisor need to be able to unpack that and then use that to have a conversation with the staff to say that, you know, next week we're going to have a very important presentations to convince, let's say, some buyer to buy our products. And then how are we going to achieve that through the most effective communications? So you can think about, discuss a strategy, the presentations, what the selling point. I think that will be the kind of workplace, how workplace can develop soft skills among the staff. So going back to non-soft skills assessment, I think today they are more prevalent. The non-soft skill, which is technical skill, you see many of the assessment tools around today that help allow people to, even company, they may have their own technical skills assessment. If you go to, today we go to our government GovTech agency, they will have their own competency tests required for software engineer, data scientists, data analysts, so that you can sit for a set of tests. So technical skills-wise, it's easier for organizations to design, because it's more measurable, but soft skill is harder, I would say. So I think it will require workplaces and then researchers, as I mentioned, to use certain tools to help objectify what you're trying to say about performance and expectation. Yeah.
예, thank you so much. 간단한 질문 같지만 3개가 더 남아 있거든요. 5 많이 있습니다만 우선 중요한 게 우리 곡순주 박사님께 간단하게 답을 좀 주시면 고맙겠습니다. 지금 그 자격증, 교육 훈련 후에 자격증을 주는지, 그럼 그 자격증이 실제로 유용한지 현장에서 그런 질문인 것 같습니다.
Yes, we do. The training education institution will issue the certificate. So we do have a national skills-based credential, which is called workforce skills qualifications. But the institutions that we curated can also issue their own. Yes, to a large extent, the certification is helpful, but not the only thing to help individual move into a new job. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I think you have to pay attention, because it's in Germany you can also give certificates, but also you can do it as a private school, and you don't need that it's approved by the government. And I work in a group for forward training, and we said we have 20,000 certificates in Germany, and we don't know how good these certificates are. So it's very important, I think, that, and I have no fear. It's in Singapore that behind these certificates there is qualification, and that you test them, and that you give them from the government or from a governmental institution. And if you can give from a private school a certificate, it's not so helpful. So I think you must have this institution behind.
예, 감사합니다. 우리나라는 독일의 자격 시스템에 대해서는 익히 알고 있죠. 예, 벤치마킹도 많이 했고요. 예, 그런데 아마 싱가포르에 대해서는 우리가 조금 잘 모르고 있어서 질문이 나왔던 것 같습니다. 마지막 질문이 될 것 같습니다. 그 외국인 근로자가 많아지고 있는데 이들에 대해서도 스킬스퓨처 적용할 예정인 것으로 알고 있는데 싱가포르 정부에서 어떻게 생각하는지, 대응하고 있는지.
I think like many other economies, Singapore, we don't have enough labor force, so we have to augment with skilled workforce from overseas. And if you're referring to whether the SkillsFuture program are granted them to access the training, the answer is yes. All the training in Singapore is open to anybody in the workforce. But citizens and resident workforce will receive the subsidies. Foreigners will not. I think it's very simple. So we do have a lot of ICT experts who come from different parts of the world, work in Singapore, and they continue their own postgrad courses in our university. And by all means, we welcome them to continue to upgrade themselves. But the subsidies part is only for citizens and local workforce.
예, 시간이 다 됐습니다만은 이게 아마 우리나라의 경우에도 임플리케이션이 굉장히 큰 것 같아요. 지금 싱가포르의 경우에 교육부의 스킬 관련하고 고용노동부의 스킬 관련 조직을 통합하는 걸로 알고 있는데 갈등이 있을 것 같다. 두 부처 간에서 통합해서 그걸 어떻게 극복하고 있는지 하는 질문이 있습니다. 이걸 마지막으로 하겠습니다. 간단하게 답을 부탁드립니다.
I'm not sure what conflicts we talk about, but in Singapore, because the culture, the way we work is very coordinated. So we have meetings all the time amongst ministry and agencies. So I have not encountered conflicts that we cannot see. Maybe there are different emphases on different parts of the work. We just have to cordially collaborate together and make sure that we achieve a shared objective. I have not encountered myself any so-called conflict that we cannot resolve. Yeah.
예. 예. 질문하신 분 우리나라도 그렇게 가야 되겠죠? It's time to close.
네, 이제 마무리를 해야 될 것 같습니다.
아마 질문이 지금 한 7개 정도를 답을 못 드렸습니다. 굉장히 열정적으로 참여를 해주셨는데 죄송합니다. 뭐 제 탓만은 아닌 것 같고요. 오늘 전체적으로 시간이 좀 그런 것 같습니다. 이만큼 그 독일과 싱가포르의 오늘 발표 내용도 그렇고 사례가 우리한테 주는 임플리케이션이 굉장히 유익하고 또 그만큼 소중했기 때문이지 않은가 하는 생각이 들고요. 그 못다한 질문이나 이런 부분들은 우리 스스로 이제 그 자기주도 학습 강조가 되고 있지 않습니까? 이걸 통해서는 또 오늘 두 분 연사님한테 개인적으로 이렇게 해서 배웁고 이렇게 할 수 있도록 했으면 좋겠다는 말씀을 드리고요. 오늘 굉장히 정말로 유용하고 또 그 감동적인 내용들인 것 같습니다. 발표를 해주신 미하일 하이스터 독일 BIBB 본부장님, 그리고 국순주 싱가포르 스킬스퓨처 최고연구담당자님, 그리고 우리 플로어에서 끝까지 또 경청해 주시고 열정적으로 질문과 토론에 참여해 주신 모든 분들께 감사를 드립니다. 모든 분들 또 감사의 마음을 담아서 큰 박수로 이 세션을 마무리하도록 하겠습니다. 고맙습니다. 땡큐.
감사합니다.
네, 두 국가 이야기 들어봤는데요. 우리가 두 나라의 성공 사례를 보며 어떤 전략을 펼쳐야 하는지 고민해보는 뜻깊은 시간이었습니다. 수고해주신 교수님과 함께해주신 연사 여러분께 다시 한번 감사를 드립니다. 이것으로 두 번째 C 세션 마무리하도록 하겠습니다.